motivators got to be motivated too. So who do you look up to? Who do you, when you're feeling down? Because, you know, if I'm feeling lazy, I might get on and go, let me see what DJ Inspire's doing. And all right, he working out. I'm going to go hit the stairs. So who does that for you? You know, who's that person for you?
Who has done it for me since I was a kid and too, has got to be my mentor, Glenn Hines. The crazy thing about him, and I don't think about it often until lately, at least when I think about all the crazy things that I have going on in my life. But when I met him, he was working full time as a bank executive. He was a city councilman. He was heavily involved in his church. He was doing all these different programs for the community. And yet, he still managed to take me on his wing, pretty much answer every time I called him, text him. If I needed something, I would ask him. For most of the times he would, you know, provide it. I'm like, hey, let's hang out. He would take me, you know, to movies or out to eat, or he taught me how to golf, like all these different things. And that's a relationship that I continue to cherish. And he's pretty much like a dad I never had. And he's one that has, he's one who has definitely inspired me. And even to this day, like, he was like, oh, I'm going to retire from the city council. And he's no longer working at the bank anymore. And so he's got more time to play a little golf. But he's now an at-large city councilman. I believe the first Black at-large city councilman in our hometown, Fort Wayne, Indiana, I believe. But so he's still, to this day, you know, impacting the community, still, you know, talking to and meeting with students as much as he can. But for whatever reason, he saw something in me and literally has stuck through it with me through all this time, checked in and kept up with me. Man, I love him. And then today, oh yeah, so blessed. Today I tap into some Eric Thomas, Inky Johnson. Just two people who I'm like, okay, I ain't feeling it today. Let me turn on Inky Johnson's, let me turn on E.T.'s You Owe Me message, which is, if you haven't heard that message, go on YouTube, You Owe Me. Dope fire message, gets me every time I get so hyped. But it's just such a good, he whips me into shape for sure, E.T. And then Inky is just so real and so like, he stings you, but it's not as stingy as the E.T. So if you want your feelings kind of hurt, but in a good way, go to E.T. If you want Inky to just spit that real to you, go to Inky Johnson. So those are my inspirations right now.
Okay, you got a mixture of both worlds. That's actually really good.
You know, sometimes you don't feel like getting smacked in the mouth. Sometimes you don't, you know, you just want to
get
it eased on you.
Rub the wound in a little bit. Okay, I totally get that. Yes. So what are some of the challenges that you faced along the way?
Oh, man. So many. I mean, first, so I went into the foster care in the 4th grade. It's really crazy how it happened. It was the summer of my 3rd grade going into my 4th grade year. My brother was in the closet playing around. We don't know exactly what happened, but basically, long story short, he was playing with an incense. We called him downstairs to eat. He left it lit in the closet. That caught fire, and our apartment caught on fire.
Oh, wow.
We ended up being homeless. Oh, yeah. We ended up being homeless for, I would say like a month. Because we went into a hotel for Red Cross, and then those benefits ran out. And then we stayed in a motel in the next city over for like a month, I think I remember. And then kind of after that, my stepdad went to jail. And then my mom was kind of fending for herself for as much as she could for, a few months into my 4th grade year. And she came up to me one day and was like, you know, I just don't have the capacity to take care of you anymore. She had just, I would find like different drug paraphernalia around the house. So she was kind of getting deep into her addiction that she battled with for years. I ended up going to stay with my grandmother on my step grandma. I still to this day, she's just grandma to me, but but kinship care, which is something that I'm very blessed about too. But that was kind of the first kind of thing that happened. And then it's kind of managing all that, you know, is my mom going to give me back? Is she not? Throughout my childhood, I ended up going to 4 different elementary schools, 3 different middle schools, and 3 different high schools. That sounds like a lot, but I met a lot of kids who have gone to, you know, a lot of schools.
Yeah, yes.
So it's one of those things where it's like, whoa, it's crazy nonetheless, no matter if you know, go to multiple like that. Like,
Right.
I think even middle school, a different middle school every year it was. So just moving a lot, having to kind of make friends and pick up your life and do it quickly. Like to this day, like I don't have too many pictures as a baby.
Oh, I understand.
You know, too many, you know, memorabilia from my younger days, because with all the moving and all the different things, you just can't keep up. So,
yeah.
And then of course, having to deal with all that trauma. If you're familiar with trauma, there's a study called the Adverse Childhood Experience. What they do is they measure different types of abuses that you've experienced before the age of 18. There's 10 of them. So it's, you know, emotional abuse, physical abuse, verbal abuse, like neglect, all these, you had a parent go to jail, all these different things that they measure. And they said, if you get a 6 or a higher on this score, your lifespan is shortened, I believe, by 20 years. So the impact of trauma on you at a young age is very, like, crazy.
Yeah.
I scored a 10 on my SA score. So by the time I was even in the 5th grade, I had all 10 of the things that they measured for happen to me before like 5th or 6th grade. And so having all, and the crazy thing is, I told you I'm in therapy and I've been in for about a year. Before that, I had never been to therapy. So I learned just recently that I'm a stuffer. And so I'm always stuffing my feelings, always stuffing my emotions. And was not able to express anger, because what anger looked like to me was a very dangerous thing, and I wanted to stay as far away from it as possible. So I avoid conflict at all costs, even if the conflict is good conflict and it'll resolve issues or whatever it might be. So I think the biggest struggle I've been having lately is just really coming to grips with what has happened to me in my past, how has it impacted me in my thinking and my decision making, and how do I move forward to be a better husband, to be a better dad, and ultimately be the best that I could be for the people that I serve. So those have been the struggles, I should say, that I'm trying to triumph over.
I know you are trying. You're the fact that you're in therapy. You know, you're identifying your traumas and you're identifying how they're affecting your adulthood. Because a lot of us, we don't even go there, and we put it away in that little part of our brain. But you're doing an excellent thing, and that, you know, that is very inspiring too, just to be able to say, I'm a grown man and I'm in therapy and I'm figuring it out, you know. So you're trying to get over it all. If there was advice you could give our viewers, what would it be?
Oh, I was gonna say the first thing, I want you guys to recognize how easily and how smoothly I mentioned that I was in therapy. No guilt behind it, no embarrassment behind it. And I think especially as a Black community, Hispanic community, minorities in general, because we have this idea about mental health that, I don't know, it's not healthy. You know, we really could utilize some help processing and dealing with, especially if you've had a traumatic childhood. And trauma is something that directly impacts you with abuse and different things. And some of us have been abused, but it's such a sense of normalcy that we don't even look at it as abuse. So I think my big advice for people out there is, one, get into a place of forgiveness, because I don't know if I didn't get into a place of forgiveness would I've been so open to get into therapy. So I think once I was able to forgive people, it really opened the floodgates for my life. Like all the things that I'm into, all the businesses and different things, or my one business that I'm into and all the ventures I'm into, it didn't really start to happen until I was able to forgive and release myself of that energy. And then I was able to be like, oh, maybe I need some therapy. Maybe I need to talk these things out, you know? So I definitely believe you should forgive those who have harmed you. Obviously, that's going to take time, but really start to move yourself in that direction. And then therapy is okay, especially for those who have gone through things, who have had broken relationships, all these different things that could impact our psyche. We really want to make sure that you are open to therapy and know that it is a thing that can really truly help you.
Yes, and there's different forms of therapy too. You know, talking to
Mhm.
someone that's a professional that can actually tell you what's going on, but then they have so many other things. And I think that meditating and just centering yourself is, you know, so important. So I took therapy. I was surprised you said you just now took therapy because I was in therapy as a child. And
I
I
was surprised too.
look, I say took
Yeah.
therapy like it's medicine because I literally would go every week and I look
Yes.
forward to it, you know? So it's like,
Yeah.
it's not a bad thing and it's not a bad place. And you actually find yourself talking about things you're like, wow, I didn't even know that was bothering me until I said it out loud, you know?
Mhm.
So, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to say this. I am waiting for your book on Amazon, but in the meantime, I checked out the preview. The book is called The Sun is Always Shining, right? Okay, so
Yes.
why don't you tell me a little bit about that? I love the title. And although, you know, we have our rainy days, I think that that is the most beautiful title ever. Can you explain what can I
Yes.
expect and what can our viewers expect? What should they take away from reading your book?
Yes. So the book is loosely based, I have to say, for the sake of my publisher who I worked with to publish the
I
book,
understand.
um,
I
is
understand.
loosely based off of my life,
Okay.
which, as you'll read the book, the character in the book I named Jeremy,
Okay.
um, it pretty much is my life in a snapshot. So, as much as I can remember from childhood, and even having conversations with my mom and my dad, in fact, I opened up the book with a chapter about them essentially, because I
Okay.
really wanted to get some insight to people about what they were going through and what kind of led, to the abuse that we dealt with, and then going into foster care and all those different things. And so
Yeah.
it's, a lot of people who have read it have like cried, which I'm like, I'm okay.
Yeah.
Um, my dad, who I'm cool with now, but for a long time I wasn't. My dad read the book, and I don't think he ever really knew my story or what I went through.
Wow.
And he called me one day and like boohoo crying, like
Wow.
he was mad, and he was like, I didn't know. And he was just so upset. I'm like, you would have thought it happened to me recently. You would have thought.
Wow, that's deep. That's really
And
deep.
so I remember I just remember saying, no, it's okay. Like,
Okay.
there's a reason why I went through that. There's a reason why that was my, my path, my struggle. And now I'm here to tell it and help people kind of overcome their issues and struggles. So
Yeah.
that I always thought that was an interesting kind of situation that happened. But for those who read the book, I think the idea that I tried to get people to understand is that the sun is always shining. And for a lot of the time, I grew up in Indiana, so this is kind of where that title came from. If you know anything about it, at least Fort Wayne, Indiana,
Right.
we have seasons. So you
Okay.
got fall, you got all this. I don't need to tell you the seasons. I know if you live in California, you probably don't think there's seasons, but yes, there's
Right.
seasons on the
Yeah.
other part of the country.
Right.
And so it gets cold, and it's wind, like all these different elements. But the one thing that I notice is that the sun doesn't always shine. The
Okay.
sun isn't always like you're not able to see it. In fact,
Right.
I would say a third of the days of the year are cloudy.
Okay. Yeah.
So 1/3 of the year, you won't even get to see the sun. So when you don't see the sun for multiple days or however many days it could be at times, you start to think that it's not there. You know
Right.
that the light is there, but you
Right.
don't exactly see the sun. You just trust that it's there. And I think when it comes to our lives, we have tornadoes, we have storms, we have different things that kind of happen in our lives. But once one thing you should realize about all those things, they're temporary and they pass eventually. And
Yeah.
eventually the sun comes out. And
Yeah.
so that's kind of the idea behind the sun is always shining. Is I want people to understand, like, yes, you're going through things. Yes, you have those storms and different things that kind of have happened to you or are happening to you.
Right.
But you through some perseverance, through powering through your adversity, you can come out on the other side, get the sun, and recognize the light that exists in you.
Oh, yes. So awesome. And then the seasons change. So the sun comes right back around, but it's always
Yes,
there, right? Yes.
exactly.
I think that that is so awesome. I can't wait to read it. Like I said,
Yes,
Amazon is on the way, but I already downloaded the preview on my
awesome.
Apple Books. So,
Cool.
yeah, so I'm excited. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and let you go and wrap this interview. I want to say thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with me today. Is there anything you want to leave our viewers with? And of course, I want you to go ahead and plug your social media handles and anything else that you have going on so that everyone can keep up with
Oh
you.
yeah.
A good follow on Instagram, guys. I could tell you his IG right now, but I'm gonna go ahead and let you do it so that everybody can keep up
Yes.
with you and get motivated and stay motivated.
Yeah. So I am on IG. It's DJ Inspires All. DJ Inspires All as spelled. Um, and yeah, I'm right now just got my shirt order. I've been waiting for my shirts to come in, my second order of shirts. So I will be dropping a promotional video for that tomorrow. I don't know when this is going to
Exciting.
drop, but,
Yeah.
but by the time y'all see this, the shirts will be available if they aren't sold out. And then I'm just super busy with DJ Inspires and work and different things, so many different projects personally, but I'm always open and willing to come and speak to schools, organizations,
Yeah.
whomever could use some motivation and light
Can I
in
ask
their
you,
organization.
are you still
Yeah,
able to mentor and do your motivational speaking with COVID going on? Like how we're doing this Zoom interview while I'm on a staycation here.
oh yeah. And we so all my contract stuff right now is virtually. So
Okay,
everything's kind of happening through Zoom.
got
So I'm meeting through students either through this medium or I call them directly. So I'm still kind of talking to them. But obviously it's not the same as being in person, but we're
yeah,
making do with the times right now. So,
that's
but
good.
yeah, still doing virtual.
Good, good. Well, I wish you and the wife and the kids nothing but the best and great health and awesome times ahead. Make sure y'all washing your hands.
Thank you.
Staying
I know religiously.
Yes, have to. I really appreciate you taking the time to speak with us today. And I want to go ahead and wrap up our interview. And DJ Inspires on Instagram, right? And then also his book is
Yep.
available on Amazon. Like I said, I put it in my Apple bookstore. So it's on every app. What is it? Google Play. You can get it on all the major platforms, right?
I believe so. I believe so. That's it. I need to look into it. I'm pretty sure. Definitely Amazon for sure.
Yes. No, I
I
looked
believe it was
today.
at Barnes and Noble.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
is it on?
did.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah. Like I
oh,
said,
okay.
I purchased it
I don't
today,
even
so
know.
I was looking and I was like, oh, okay,
Okay,
got it going on. Yeah, so you out there.
okay.
You're
For
out
sure, for sure.
there.
Appreciate
Yes.
it.
Okay, well, I look forward to talking to you soon. And thank you so much again from the bottom of
Yes,
our hearts.
definitely.
Thank you.
Same. Thank you
Okay,
so
I'll
much
talk
for
to
this
you
opportunity.
soon.